It's a football championship double-header here on the Sunday game this afternoon. First up is the Munster football semi-final between Cork and Kerry. The throw-in at Páirc Uí Chaoimh is at 2 o'clock. After that, we head to the athletic grounds in Armagh, where the home county take on Tyrone in their Ulster quarter-final. That game is due to start at 4 o'clock. Hi, you're welcome to the Sunday game once again. Well, it's an important day in the football championship. Two of the top counties in the game will find themselves out of the provincial championships and headed for the uncertain waters of the qualifiers. Well, nobody wants to take that chance, but then I suppose when it comes to the rivalry between Cork and Kerry and also Armagh and Tyrone, well, nobody wants to lose anyway. In footballing folklore, Cork and Kerry have written many a chapter. This afternoon, Munster's finest will look to write another one as they bat it out for a place in this year's provincial decider.
Good ball inside, punched away. Here's a chance, oh, brilliant save. Darren O'Sullivan, then play, then Carr. He's going for it. What a cracker. Coming through is Pierce O'Neill. Flicking it inside is Kerrigan. Takes the shoulder and is stopped on the goal line. That's a penalty. O'Connor is good at these and he crashes it into the net. Great run by Brosnan and puts it over the bar. Kerry, Munster champions 2011.
We may have lost the battle, but we haven't lost the war.
Then at 4 o'clock we turn our attention to Ulster, where Armagh take on Tyrone.
Great vision to pick out Tommy McGuigan. Great goal. Oh, that's a terrible kick away by Hirty to Paul Duffy, and Joe McMahon plants it in the back.
Yes, a couple of good hours of championship football in prospect here on the Sunday game, and here to look forward to it with me, Joe Brawley and Colm O'Rourke. Joe Brawley, I put it to you that, you know, these days with the qualifiers, the backdoor system, whatever you want to call it, people say these games don't matter too much. These two teams are going to end up in Croke Park anyway for All-Ireland quarter-finals. I put it to you that this actually matters hugely today.
Well, I mean, if Cork, say, were beaten and they ended up meeting the likes of Tyrone and Armagh in the qualifiers, it's a very, very difficult game. You get a low-key venue somewhere, you know, and there are treacherous waters out there. I mean, I appreciate that Tyrone won twice coming through the qualifier route. But, you know, it'd be much easier to be in a Munster final. You have a good sort of atmosphere at the Munster final, even though whoever their opponents will be hopelessly outgunned. And it's, you know, it's far preferable to come through this route. And also, there's always that Cork and Kerry bite. And you would expect a rebound from Kerry today after their really, you know, very anaemic showing against Tip, even though we were talking to them before the match that day, and you got the feeling that they just wanted to fast forward to this game.
To put it in context, Colm, the winners today go to a Munster football final that they will be expected to win. That takes them Route 1 to Croke Park. The losers, they twiddle their thumbs for a few weeks, I think it's 5 weeks perhaps. Then, if they win, they have 3 weekends, I think, on a row in which they have to play football. We saw what happened to Kildare a few years ago with this.
Yeah, well, the other side of it too is the Kerry are an ageing team, and with half a dozen fellas either 30 or over, the last thing they want is game after game after game. They want to be able to structure their season, Munster final, quarter-final, semi-final, final. All nice, easily packaged. What they wouldn't want to do is have to go into playing hard games over several weekends in a row. Now, of course, a few years ago we said the same thing about Kerry. They stumbled over Sligo, stumbled over Antrim, and then absolutely devoured Dublin and Croke Park. So, you know, they have the quality to do it. But
Antrim nearly beat them.
yes,
remember?
that's right. But then when they got to Croke Park, then they just changed into a new team. It was a real Jekyll and Hyde side that year, and they won the All-Ireland.
And of course you have a similar situation then in our second live match, Joe, between Armagh and Tyrone. Two teams that again will be fancied to have a say in the championship. One of them will have a problem.
A very, very strong double-header. And in Ulster, the interesting question is, you know, whether it's the beginning of the end of the Hart era, because, you know, the team, all the really great stars, you know, Sean Kavanagh is now injured and out, and that doesn't augur well for him for the future. He was running out of steam already over the last year or two. You know, Stephen O'Neill and players like that are becoming less and less prolific. It's just time catching up with them. And for all the fact that they've done so well at minor level and underage level, they just haven't produced the stellar footballers to step into those shoes. And so You know, Tyrone, the question today is whether or not they are on that downward slope that people think they are on.
That's a question that will be answered a little bit later on. That game at 4 o'clock. Championship action in Leinster today as well. Carlow take on Meath, and then of course we have that replay between Longford and Wexford. With news on those games and our feature games, of course, here on the Sunday Game, let's join Joanne Cantrell, and she is down by the banks of the Lee this afternoon. How are you, Joanne?
The very noisy banks of the Lee as well. The crowd not completely here yet. Well, I certainly hope not. It's not full up. It is rather dry now. There are dark clouds overhead. Let's hope that they just pass over. Kerry are unchanged. They are selected, but we think there will probably be a couple of changes for Cork. Conor Coonahan tells us that both Pierce O'Neill and Aidan Walsh are undergoing late fitness tests, so there could well be a change there. Now, as you were mentioning earlier, Michael, not the only game of huge provincial rivalry taking place today. Up in Ulster, the dominant forces for more than a decade there, right up until Donegal finally broke the oath. Armagh take on Tyrone at the Morgan Athletic Grounds today. Now, of course, for Armagh, it's the beginning of life without Steve MacDonald, who hung up his boots early on this year. Tyrone, they've been absolutely ravaged by injuries. No Tommy McGuigan, no Kyle Coney, Ronan O'Neill, Sean Kavanagh, the latest man to be ruled out for the summer. And there's that Leinster double bill as well happening in Tullamore. First up on the cards there at 2 o'clock, Carlow against Meath. Carlow, you might remember, surprised Louth in Leinster last year, knocking them out. Meath already have a win in Leinster under their belts. They beat Wicklow a few weeks ago. But their captain, Seamus Kenny, damaged his cruciate in that, and he's been ruled out for the entire championship. The good news for them, though, is that their former All-Star Stephen Bray, well, he's been welcomed back into attack. And that game is followed by that very interesting game we saw at Croke Park a week ago, the replay of Longford against Wexford. Longford on change from last week's game, but Wexford, they've made a change. Conor Carty loses out to Paddy Byrne, and there are also rumours that Kieran Ling might be struggling for fitness. That one throws in at 4 o'clock. So does our second live game coming to you from Armagh. And this one here, Cork against Kerry in Munster, it throws in a little while with a 2 o'clock start.
All right, Joanne, enjoy the game in Cork. We have a break to take here on the Sunday Game. We continue our build-up to the Cork-Kerry game right after that, plus an opportunity for you to enter our big competition here on the programme. There's tickets to this year's All-Ireland football final and much more besides. All that in just a few minutes. Welcome back again to the Sunday Game. Well, it's been a pretty depressing week weather-wise, but here's something to perk you up. An ice break in the west of Ireland, plenty of spending money and tickets to this year's All-Ireland football final. And here's how you can get your hands on them.
We're giving you the chance to win a luxurious two-night getaway for you and a friend at the 4-star Delphi Mountain Resort in Connemara. You'll be treated to an adventurous outdoor activity and more during your stay, plus there's €1,000 in spending money too. It doesn't stop there. There's 2 tickets to this year's All-Ireland football final, courtesy of Ulster Bank, official sponsor of the GAA Football All-Ireland Senior Championship. For your chance to win the lot, just tell us, true or false, Galway is also commonly known as the Banner County. Is that true or is it false? To enter, call 1515 71 71 74 or text the word football followed by your name and answer to 57111. Viewers in the north can also text to 57111 or call the number on screen. You must be over 18 to enter. More details on RTE Airtel page 194. Lines will close at midday on Tuesday, June 12th, and the lucky winner will be announced on Championship Matters on RTE2 on Thursday, June 14th.
And here on the Sunday Game, we're building up to the meeting of Cork and Kerry in this year's Munster football semi-final. Let's hear from the rival managers who will be trying to outwit each other again this afternoon. Cork's Conor Coonahan and Kerry's Jack O'Connor. They've been talking to Joanne Cantwell.
Everyone wants to win today. I'm certainly going to be clear about that. We do want to win today, and I'm sure Kerry would feel the same way. So I think anyone thinks otherwise is very foolish.
How big of an advantage is it playing here at Páirc Uí Chaoimh?
Look, I think Cork and Kerry, takes a life of its own, and whether it's Killarney or Páirc Uí Chaoimh, it isn't major. So, look, I don't think it's a major advantage.
A warm day. We were all expecting to be rainy, but it's going to be very hot out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's very humid down here, and it's going to be very tough on fellas. And I think, it's going to be about emptying the bench there and getting the 20 people to contribute. But yeah, I don't think people who aren't here would realise how humid it is.
Do you reckon then whoever has the stronger bench might be the winners today?
Yeah, look, I think it's going to be an important factor, all right. So, hopefully we can call on our fellas to do a job there.
Well, Jack, you said a couple of weeks ago that you needed big improvements. Do you think you've managed to work out the problems from the Tipperary game?
Yeah, we were hoping so, Joanne. I mean, we were very sluggish that day, and our performance was well below what we were hoping. But we're just hoping the big game up here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh will get the juices flowing now, and we have to improve. We have to improve dramatically.
How big a loss is Brian Sheehan?
Huge loss. He's the best place kicker in the country and gelled very well with Anthony Maher. But Scanlon has been going well in training. He deserves a shot at it now.
You've obviously done well through the back door, but genuinely, how big a deal is it to you to go through the front door?
We're not thinking of any back door at the moment anyway, Joanne. We really feel we have to go for this game today because, psychologically it would do us a lot of good to win a big game up here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. It's a tough ask. Very few Kerry teams have come up here and done it. We did it in extra time in 2010, and it'll take a massive performance today, but just hoping that performance is in it.
It is a big ask. They'll be determined to do it. We've been asking both Joe Brawley and Colin Rourke to look at these two teams and compare their styles of play. You both kind of picked on something similar in the teams, but Colin, you first about Kerry not moving that ball quick enough.
Yeah, well, the disease of hand passing has sort of taken over everybody now at this stage, including Kerry, and we can see in the game against Tipperary where they went over and back across the pitch, slow moving, and you'd often wonder with the quality of Kerry forwards why the ball isn't. Now, you would expect that this sort of thing is not going to happen today, that when they did kick the ball in, it was kicked all over the place. But it was a disease that they can't seem to shake off. They had it in the last 10 minutes of the All-Ireland final, and it cost them dear. Here we have a collector's item, Gooch getting caught in possession. Now, he did slip, of course, and possibly foul, but it summed up Kerry's play against Tipperary. Now, Jack O'Connor has had 2 weeks. I assume it will be a totally different method of play and a totally different attitude from Kerry today.
I think we can take it that was probably just a bad dress rehearsal for Kerry. Let's look at Cork by contrast, Joe. And again, you've looked at them not moving this ball.
Cork's problem in a nutshell is this. Excellent forwards, particularly with the couple of boys they have on the bench. But they're waiting all day to get the ball. And when the ball does come to them, it's too late. Because Cork only hand pass the ball out of their defence. Their centre half back, Graham Canty. Your centre half back's supposed to be your playmaker. Graham's a very good tackler and all that, but all he does is hand pass the ball. There are two methods of moving the ball up the field: hand passing and solo running. And literally, they're very, very excellent inside forwards. They're running around inside a blanket defence by the time the ball comes to them, and it's far too late. It's extremely laborious. They don't look up. I mean, if you watch throughout this entire segment, and when we were watching this to glean this footage, we could have shown the whole match, where at all times the ball was never being kicked coming out of their defence. It's always a hand pass. And fellas' heads, when you look at their faces, are down. They get the ball, they bounce, they hand pass.
OK, it is time to head over to the commentary box to get news of how the teams will line out in Páirc Uí Chaoimh this afternoon. Time to hear from Marty Morrissey and Martin Carney.
Thank you very much, Michael. It's a provincial championship that has been dominated by these two counties, with Cork and Kerry sharing a remarkable 110 Munster titles between them. It is, however, a little special today because Cork are 3-in-a-row league champions, while Kerry are the reigning Munster kingpins. Cork manager Conor Coonahan has announced his team, and here it is. Goalkeeper Alan Quirke has been part of the Cork squad since 1999, and at 35 years of age is one of the most experienced keepers in the country. Twice an All-Star at full-back is Michael Shields, with Ray Carey and dual star Owen Cadigan standing shoulder to shoulder with him. Former international rules captain Graham Canty is a formidable figure at centre-back. Completing the line are two great defenders, Paddy Cassan and Noel O'Leary. Having dabbled at full forward for the league, Aidan Walsh returns to the middle of the field to partner Alan O'Connor. There is speculation of two late dramatic changes, and both concern the half-forward line, with Fintan Gould and Pearse O'Neill the players in question. Donncha O'Connor is not just a target man at the edge of the square, but a prolific scorer as well. Add in Paul Kerrigan and especially Colm O'Neill, and Cork have a full forward line of real substance. Martin Carney.
Well, since his return from injury, Marty, Cork's comeback kid Colm O'Neill has added guile and creativity to their attack. During the National League, he amassed, I think it was 4 goals and 15 points. And I think Cork will hope that scoring blitz will continue today.
The Kingdom's performance against Tipperary and the fact that Brian Sheehan is out injured means Kerry manager Jack O'Connor is forced to make one change. But as it turned out, the Kerry starting 15 makes very interesting reading. Goalkeeper and Kilcummin man Brendan Keeley is clearly established as first choice keeper and can be credited with 2 fine saves against Tipperary 2 weeks ago. A big surprise is the choice of Aidan O'Mahony at full back, especially in light of Daniel Bohan's solid performance against Tipperary. Mark O'Shea returns after injury, with Killian Young again in the other corner. It's a very strong half-back line. Tomas O'Shea, Owen Brosnan and Peter Crowley make a nice cocktail of experience sprinkled with a touch of youth. And what about this for a replacement? All-star midfielder 2009 Seamus Scanlon gets Brian Sheehan's jersey and now stands beside Anthony Marr in the middle of the park. Up front, the old reliables are back in town and in familiar places. Declan O'Sullivan is now at centre forward, with Paul Galvin and Darren O'Sullivan on the wings. As anticipated, Kieran Donaghy returns to the first 15, with Kieran O'Leary moved to top of the left. In the other corner is the team captain, Colm Cooper.
Well, even though his form, hasn't been good this year, I think Kieran Donaghy usually, Marty, excels against Cork. I think Jack O'Connor, actually, by restoring him to his best position at full forward, has allowed him to link again effectively with Colm Cooper. And certainly if that linkage can kind of manifest itself today, Kerry are in with a great chance of victory.
Lots of speculation about the starting 15 for Cork. We'll have up-to-date news just before the throw-in at 2 o'clock, Michael.
Thanks, Marty, and back to Marty and Martin very shortly. Who is headed for the Munster football final and who is headed for the qualifiers? Cork and Kerry coming up after the commercial break. It's the Munster football semi-final from Páirc Uí Chaoimh between Cork and Kerry, and I suppose maybe not surprisingly there are changes on the Cork team. We suspected there might be, just to confirm them for you. Fintan Gould, Pearse O'Neill both out of the named selection. Nicholas Murphy comes into midfield. Aidan Walsh moves in, gentlemen, to the full forward division, and the other player on is Kieran Sheehan. So that's a jiggle that wasn't entirely unexpected.
Yeah, but I think Kerry must have known about this in advance, because one of the reasons why Aidan O'Mahony was put full back was because they expected Aidan Walsh to play full forward, where he could handle him. Kieran Sheehan back after a cruciate knee problem last year, a very good player. I don't know why Pearse O'Neill has gone. Maybe he's injured, maybe he holds on to the ball too much and solos too much, but Nicholas Murphy in the middle of the field, he's a lot of miles on the clock there. He'll not last the full game.
It's a positive. It's a positive move in Pearse O'Neill, because although he's big-hearted, he's a ball swallower. I mean, he is a black hole for the ball. Yeah. The ball's gone. He put his head down and he's solo run. Better to play Paddy Kelly there at centre half forward. The other thing is this: that Owen Brosnan is not a particularly comfortable defender, but he was very comfortable on Pearse O'Neill last year, and I'm sure that must have had an influence on their thinking. Well, so the Cork forward line looks a bit better calibrated there, because it allows Paddy Kelly from centre forward to go out and pull the strings, and also to kick the ball to Aidan Walsh on the edge of the square, which is something that Cork are going to need to have to start doing.
It's going to be interesting with Walsh full forward on one side, who's very good in the air, and Donaghy on the other side. Maybe we'll see a bit more kicking today into the full forward line, and particularly the square ball rule hasn't been exploited at all yet by anybody. So two big men in there, hopefully we'll see a lot of playing around the goals.
How's this going to pan out, Colm?
Well, I think Kerry are looking over the edge of the cliff here. I think there's no All-Ireland in Kerry if they don't win today, because I can't see a team having the resolve to come back for the long haul through the back door. So for me, Kerry have to win today to have a chance of winning the All-Ireland, and I think they will.
There's the scene in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, where our second match, just to remind you, will be Armagh and Tyrone a little bit later on at 4 o'clock, before a sellout crowd at the Athletic Grounds in Armagh. Joe, this Cork-Kerry match, how's it going to work?
Well, I just think that, if Kerry play with a sense of adventure again, Kerry play with far too much fear, and I think really they've done that, probably starting in 2005, Jack O'Connor basing his game plans far too much on the way the opposition's playing, not accentuating his own strengths. There's a lot of disquiet in the kingdom about the way the team have been playing, the short passing, the blanket defending and all of that, which is just conformist. They're just going with the herd, and they've no need to do that, because they've good enough players to play a kicking game. They want to go out today, bring the fight to Cork and play the way we know they can play, and if they do that, they can win the game.
I hope it's a good competitive game, and I think it should be spiky. I think there'll be plenty of close exchanges. Imagine Paul Galvin and Noel O'Leary getting together again, and there's plenty of exchanges like that, so I think we're going to get a proper championship match.
And that face you saw in the crowd just a moment ago, there of course is Donlo Cusick, the Cork hurling goalkeeper, who is a spectator unfortunately at the moment in both hurling and football. OK, time to head back to the commentary box and rejoin Martin Carney, and first Marty Morrissey.
Thank you very much, Michael. Welcome to Páirc Uí Chaoimh here in the banks of the Lee. It's a typical Munster Championship match. It's Cork against Kerry. It's a provincial championship that we mentioned in the scene, dominated by Kerry and Cork. Kerry with 74 titles, Cork with 36, Tipperary with 9, the last in 1935, and Clare with 2, 20 years ago. And of course yesterday had a historic victory over, and a significant victory over Limerick, so they're qualified for the Munster final against either Cork or Kerry. Waterford won the Munster Football Championship back in 1898, and Limerick also had a Munster Championship in 1896. It's a long, long time ago. Lots of talk, lots of speculation. Conor Coonahan, the Cork manager, was keeping his cards very close to his chest beforehand, not revealing who was injured. But I do believe that Fintan Gould and Pearse O'Neill picked up, well, injuries, I suppose you'd call them. One of them was bitten by an insect of some sort and it swelled up and made it very uncomfortable, while the other was kicking ball yesterday and injured his leg. Thus the reason for the late dramatic changes. Nicholas Murphy will wear number 17 in the middle of the field, and number 21, Kieran Sheehan from the Airole Club, still 21 years of age. He'll be 22 in November, just back from a cruciate injury. He hasn't played since the game against Kerry 12 months ago. How significant are the changes? Very briefly, Martin Carney.
Well, very briefly, I think Nicholas Murphy going to midfield won't lessen the Cork midfield, I think, in any way. He may not last the 70 minutes, as Colm said, but nonetheless his experience is invaluable. Kieran Sheehan, an outstanding player. Great to see him back after cruciate ligament damage.
And here on the banks of the Lee in Páirc Uí Chaoimh for this Munster football semi-final against Cork and Kerry, it's time for our national anthem, Ó Rá na Bhíodh. Munster Council officials told me they're expecting a crowd of around 20,000 people. I'm not too sure they'll reach that particular figure, but there is a great atmosphere around the city and around this particular venue. David Coldrick is the man in charge. He refereed the 2007 and 2010 All-Ireland football finals. Native of County Meath. Kerry won the toss, playing from left to right. Seamus Scanlon and Anthony Marr stand in the middle of the field beside Alan O'Connor and of course Nicholas Murphy. Aidan Walsh has gone in around the full forward line. That's the plan, and can't see him exactly where he's positioned at the moment, but we'll confirm that in a moment as the referee David Coldrick throws the ball in this Munster football semi-final. Nicholas Murphy gets the touchdown for his left half forward Patrick Kelly, floating one in for his Donnacha O'Connor. Kieran Sheehan, his first touch, floating one in for his Brendan Keeley, gathers it second time round. Out for his left half back, Peter Crowley. Aidan O'Mahony. Down for his Darren O'Sullivan. O'Mahony available again, nicely intercepted by Paul Kerrigan. Goes for the long ball, aiming at Colm O'Neill. Well intercepted by Mark O'Shea. Good to see him back on the field of play. This is Declan O'Sullivan. Nicholas Murphy slips, about to come in with a challenge is Noel O'Leary. Goes for the ball down first his captain, Colm Cooper. Turning inside, it's Cooper trying to get a shot in. Is that a penalty? The referee says play on. And Cork with a sigh of relief after less than a minute of play. Ball outside for his Paddy Cassad. Loves to go forward. Hit a fair shoulder. Referee says not quite. Colm Cooper is still pleading with his umpires. What was it, Martin Carney?
He just gets around his player Michael Shields there in this case, and no, I think actually he kicked the ground. I thought in the first case actually he had been tripped, but he actually kicked the ground.
No penalty. Ball inside from Patrick Kelly. Hovering, waiting. Inside is Kieran Sheehan. Gives it back Nicholas Murphy, fires Patrick Kelly. Paul Kerrigan is outside. Still Kelly. Three Kerry defenders. One of them happens to be Kieran Donaghy. Big Nicholas Murphy Donaghy coming in to challenge. Back outside, fires Patrick Kelly. Paul Kerrigan again is available. Ball into the centre to Donaghy O'Connor. He's good on the turn. He's good for scoring points for the Rebel County. Cork are up and running in Páirc Uí Chaoimh.
Beautiful score actually that time by O'Connor. Good crossfield ball, just watch it. Very, very loose actually. Kieran O'Leary was on him that time. Another interesting thing, Marty, that time is that Kieran Donaghy found himself back in the Kerry full back line. So he's going to clearly have a roving commission today.
Kick out by Brendan Keeley. In the thick of the action, it's Graham Canty. Lays it off as Aidan Walsh. Sending it in. Interesting that Nicholas Murphy has gone in full forward and Aidan Walsh is at midfield. Bit of a bone cruncher on Aidan O'Mahony. Far as Seamus Scanlon. Over this side calling for it is Peter Crowley. Good ball. Tracking back, Paul Kerrigan. Crowley lays it off to Paul Galvin. Makes so much room. Lays it down for Kieran O'Leary. Operating on top of the left, but at the moment at right half forward. Gathering the ball, Alan O'Connor. Didn't like the challenge of Paul Galvin. The referee has blown his whistle and he's given a free head.
Yeah, and there's a lot of messing going on off the ball actually at the moment. I think Paddy Cassana's having his moments, I think, with Darren O'Sullivan, but a lot of tripping, a lot of holding going on off the ball, which is most unnecessary.
Referee David Coldrick having a word with Paul Kerrigan. And as you can see, there's a lot of this stuff going on around the square between Owen Cadigan and Kieran Donaghy. The free is quickly taken. Declan O'Sullivan on the turn. Sweet kick. Just inside the left-hand post. Sides level.
An interesting one. Kerry crowded around this small rectangle that time. Sullivan just came short, very smartly tipped it over the bar.
Just from a tactical point of view, Aidan Walsh is at midfield, marked by Anthony Marr, and Nicholas Murphy has now gone into the edge of the square. And Cork are playing an orthodox full forward line. Here is right cornerback Ray Carey from Clyde Rovers. North Cork up near Mallow. Ball sent on, Faris Paddy Cassan. Clubmate indeed of Ray Carey. Trying to get inside the cover of Darren O'Sullivan. Paul Kerrigan comes looking for it. Aidan Walsh wasn't quite expecting it. Kieran Sheehan looking around to see if Nicholas Murphy is making the run. Still Kieran Sheehan floating one in. That's a pretty good kick. That's a fantastic point by Kieran Sheehan. Welcome back to the Munster Championship. A year out with that dreadful cruciate injury, and he returns for his very first inter-county match, and this is what he produces.
Well, it's only early stages yet, but I think the duel between Sheehan and Mark O'Shea, who's marking him at the moment, could become the duel of the game. But that was a wonderful score, maybe not put under sufficient pressure.
Kick out by Keeley, knocked away by Aidan Walsh. Paul Kerrigan snapping at the loose ball. Alan O'Connor was available. In the centre is Graham Canty, leading by example. Bantry Bluesman, looking around to see who's available. Donaghy O'Connor always is a valuable option. Back outside is Canty if he needs it. Still O'Connor, confident of having a goal. Easy ball for the Kerry goalkeeper. Coolness, lays it off towards the right wing, and Kerry will rebuild with Peter Crowley. He's a Lone Ranger. He's a Lone Rangers man from Killorglin to Scanlon. Back to Peter Crowley. Corner back on the UCC team that won the Sigerson and Cork County Championship last year. Long ball, down fires Michael Shields. Available is O'Connor, just in front of us here. So too Paddy Cassan. Cork going forward in numbers. Kerrigan again is making himself available, but opts instead for Patrick Kelly. Kerrigan is on the blind side going forward. Nice ball for Donaghy O'Connor. Nice turn. Great point. It's a very bright start to this Munster Championship semi-final, and good quality football so far.
Great quality football so far, and Paddy Kelly so far, I know there's only 5 or 6 minutes gone, but he's playing centre half forward in Owen Brosnan, and Brosnan's lack of defensive awareness is already causing Kerry a problem. But that was a lovely ball from Kelly to O'Connor, straight over the bar. Good start for Cork, it must be said.
Kick out. Comes as far as Alan O'Connor. Paul Galvin nips in. Declan O'Sullivan wanted it short. Galvin goes for a long ball. Paddy Cassan gets a touch. Noel O'Leary is there. Taps it quickly for Aidan Walsh. Ray Carey to Paddy Cassan as Cork try and control matters. Diagonal ball is aimed at Patrick Kelly. Michael Shields has gone forward from full back. Colm Cooper gone chasing after him. Into the centre. Paris Paul Kerrigan. Goes for the long ball. Dropping in towards Nicholas Murphy and Aidan O'Mahony. Donnacha O'Connor has it. Surrounded. Still O'Connor. Referee David Coldrick gives the free to the Kingdom.
Yeah, good discipline defending that time by the three Kerry players. Aidan O'Mahony was in there close on that breaking ball, but they just managed to crowd him out and earn the free out.
Colm Cooper, look how deep he has to come to gather possession. Peter Crowley. Anthony Marr, PhD student in University of Limerick. Tomás O'Shea, 33 years of age. Darren O'Sullivan, All-Ireland winning captain 2009. Ball in first, Kieran O'Leary. There's a call from Declan O'Sullivan. There's a hard hit by Graham Canty. Back outside first, Kieran O'Leary, and good defending by the National League champions. Gathered by Paddy Cassan. Graham Canty again makes himself available. Ops instead for his Ray Carey, despite the fact that Owen Cadigan was there. Alan Quirk gives it to his fullback. Michael Shields gets away from Declan O'Sullivan. Kieran Donaghy coming in to challenge. Still Michael Shields, nobody readily available. Graham Canty throws up the left arm and calls. Coming forward from left corner back is Owen Cadigan. Galvin coming in with the hefty challenge. They've met in the past, and Cadigan saying, okay, there's a marker laid down. And Paul Galvin is being spoken to by the referee. Here's the challenge from Declan O'Sullivan coming through by Graham Canty. Back outside here, let's look at this incident as Cadigan was hit by Paul Galvin.
Yeah, good contrast in the two challenges. Canty's challenge on Declan O'Sullivan, wonderful challenge, blocked him fairly and legitimately. Just over enthusiasm that time, I think, by Paul Galvin, give away the free.
I think we might be revisiting that scenario between Paul Galvin and Owen Cadigan again. But the referee just noting the name of Paul Galvin. No yellow card. The ball is deflected back. Fires Aidan O'Mahony. Takes the hit again from Patrick Kelly. Paul Galvin calling for it. Kieran Sheehan is the closest Cork player to it. In the centre, Seamus Scanlon. A pass to nobody in particular. Kerry players getting their signals mixed up. Kieran Sheehan goes for the long ball. Knocked down by Donnacha O'Connor. Good calling this time by Owen Brosnan. Tomás O'Shea fires Seamus Scanlon. Goes for the distance. Up fires Kieran O'Leary. Dr. Crokesman. Oh, that's a well-gathered ball by O'Leary. In first, Kieran Donaghy to O'Leary. Colm Cooper. O'Leary has gone inside. Cooper takes the shot, and that's over the bar. Good football, Kerry.
That's an absolutely beautiful score. Wonderful interplay at that time by the two Crokes guys, Cooper and O'Leary. But it must be said that Canty's ability that time to try and snuff out the long ball coming through was thwarted by very good movement from the corner forward, Kieran O'Leary.
Kick out by Alan Quirk. Paul Galvin being held back by Noel O'Leary. And they've had many up-close and personal encounters in the past. Kieran Donaghy thought about having a shot. Loses possession, Alan O'Connor. Kieran O'Leary seemed to pick up an accidental knock. Down fires Patrick Kelly. Aidan Walsh has gone through the middle. This is Walsh heading towards the D. Players available left and right. He goes for the score off the post, and it's left and wide. But Aidan Walsh had several options available to him, left and right. You can see the one immediately to his right. Went for the shot and hit almost the side netting.
Yeah, very good covering that time, it must be said. But just go back to this incident again. By God, that boy, Alan O'Connor certainly met, was it Kieran O'Leary with the boot in the face that time. That was dangerous play. Okay, you might be saying both of them were going hard for the ball, but I thought the use of the foot that time was somewhat careless.
Peter Crowley is the player that's getting some attention now. Had the honour of marking his captain, Colm Cooper, in the Munster Club final when UCC played Dr. Crokes.
The game is opened. It's very, very physical, it must be said. I think you said earlier, Marty, in your commentary that we might be revisiting issues with Galvin and Cadigan later on, but there's a lot of hard hitting going on, some of it legitimate, occasionally, not particularly so.
Interesting to see there that off the ball that Paul Galvin is being marked by Noel O'Leary, and here comes that possession to Galvin. Ball inside, Paris Kieran O'Leary hopping the ball. Oh, he judged it perfectly. He's on the 20, heading towards the 13. Is that a free? The referee blows his whistle, and he's given a free in. But O'Leary did really well here. His judgment was perfect, beating Ray Carey, posing problems for Cork, and the free conceded.
Yeah, clever play by Kieran O'Leary once again. Ball just anticipated the bounce of the ball very well. Ray Carey got caught out. Graham Canty, in his enthusiasm to get back and execute the tackle, a little bit over anxious and conceded the free.
So Colm Cooper going to level the match perhaps for the second time. Takes his point. Colm Cooper, 7 times an All-Star, and 29 years of age since last Sunday, celebrating his birthday.
Yeah, when you think about it, he's played in 8 All-Ireland finals as a Marty, and I mean, he's been around. We've been blessed actually and privileged to see the guy for the last 10 years or so. Wonderful, wonderful footballer.
Alan Quirk kicks the ball straight down the middle. Nicholas Murphy is back out around the middle of the field. Donnacha O'Connor is now at full forward. Aidan Walsh stays at midfield with Alan O'Connor as Cork tried to get a grip there. Kieran O'Leary is showing well, working very hard. Tiptoed that back first, Paul Galvin. In first, Kieran Donaghy. Declan O'Sullivan and Graham Canty read the situation rather well. And gives it first, Aidan Walsh. And again, Cork are kicking a lot of ball, which is to be admired, but given away on this occasion by Mark O'Shea. Coming under pressure from Nicholas Murphy. In the centre is Seamus Scanlon. Anthony Marr calls for it as Kerry builds slowly from the back. Here's Galvin being chased by Noel O'Leary. As normal, Noel O'Leary dispossessing it. There's a touch on the ground by Noel O'Leary. Free to Kerry.
Yeah, one of the things about Paul Galvin I've noticed today, he's trying to actually win his breaks a little bit more forward in the Cork half of the field, and when he does that, he's managing to link up much more effectively with his full forward line.
Kieran Donaghy, with the support of Tomás O'Shea behind him if he needs him, and he does. In the centre, Seamus Scanlon. Peter Crowley has gone forward from left half back. This is Anthony Marr. Here's Crowley now, trying to get around Kieran Sheehan. Confident enough to have a pop. Alan Quirk is under this, has to punch it clear. Out fires Paddy Cassar. Keeper did well. It was the right option. Paul Kerrigan kicks from just outside his own half back line, and again Mark O'Shea reads it superbly. Fires Tomás O'Shea. Footballer of the Year 2004. Seamus Scanlon, 29 years of age, 6'3" in the middle of the park. Darren O'Sullivan. Owen Brosnan. Normally played centre forward in the past, now it's centre half back, shooting that wide for Kerry's first wide of the game after almost 15 minutes.
Yeah, just after 50 minutes, it's interesting to note the trend of the game. Cork are mixing up their game quite well, and as you said, they're using the long ball much more than they have been in the past. Maybe they have been stung somewhat by the criticism that they play laterally too much, but in fairness to Mark O'Shea, he's reading the ball very, very well each time that it goes into the corner towards Colm O'Neill, and he's managing to cut out the threat.
Straight down the middle again for Alan Quirk's kickouts. Comes straight for his Declan O'Sullivan. Stepping by Graham Canty. Kieran Donaghy is to his right. Here's Donaghy. It's a goal-scoring opportunity. He uses Cooper. Nice little flick, and it's off for a 45. But Kieran Donaghy was unselfish, giving it to Colm Cooper, but really for that precise moment, he should have had a pop himself.
Oh, very much so. He shoveled it off that time to Colm Cooper, who was well crowded out by Carey and by Michael Shields and by the goalkeeper. The ball really, having been transferred to Declan Sullivan, should have been dispatched by Kieran Donaghy.
More shoving and pushing going on here, as we've seen. There's more of it going on, and the referee now is going to have to deal with this, and maybe have a consultation. There's nothing serious, but it's aggravating. There's a potential there for it to accelerate to a different level.
Well, I said the dialogue, Marty, would be rather tasty at the moment. There's an awful lot of sledging going on among them. I don't think it's necessarily a physical kind of confrontation or anything else, but a lot of messing and stupidity.
Interesting that in the absence of Brian Sheehan, Kerry have opted for their goalkeeper, Brendan Keeley, to take the 45, and he sends it to the right and wide. Trying to do a Stephen Cluxton on it. It's surprising that there are so many outfield players on the field, Martin, and yet it's now become trendy for goalkeepers to take 45s.
Well, to me, it's not a bit trendy. It's ugly, in fact, I find. It's just a crying shame that more and more players aren't being coached in the art of kicking the ball off the ground, which is an integral part of the skills of Gaelic football. It's a shame that a goalkeeper has to come out and do it.
Good catch. Alan O'Connor, Paddy Cassan, Aidan Walsh, Graham Canty, Noel O'Leary makes the run, challenged by Declan O'Sullivan. That's going to be a free. Quickly taken, and again Cork kicking a lot of long ball, which is to be complimented. This is a better ball for as Nicholas Murphy. Aidan O'Mahony with him. Still Murphy needs the support of Patrick Kelly. Aidan Walsh is further back, but the ball given away, and here comes Darren O'Sullivan. Alan O'Connor trying to prevent the tear-away wing forward from Glen Carr to get a bit of free space. Colm Cooper. Good ball. Fires Declan O'Sullivan. Changing the flow of the game. O'Sullivan. Fires Kieran Donaghy. O'Sullivan is floored after he delivered the pass. And the referee has blown his whistle rather belatedly. Graham Canty is saying O'Sullivan was diving. We'll have to watch this again as Declan O'Sullivan gives the pass.
No, Paul Kerrigan checked him. He checked the run going through, definitely. A stupid free to give away in the circumstances, and doubly stupid insofar as that it's a tap over for, I'd say, Colm Cooper or whoever takes it.
The referee now having a word with Paul Kerrigan. Obviously there was protestations from the Nemo Rangers man, but David Coldrick, to his credit, just explaining to the forward why the free has been given, which is the correct decision. So Colm Cooper going to take this. He's already scored, tried to score in this match. He had to score actually. That was Colm, and here comes the point on its way, and the umpire goes for the flag. Easy for Colm Cooper.
Yeah, in a tight game, frees like that actually, conceding frees like that are stupid, and that's his third point actually during the game, 2 of them from frees.
3 points for Colm Cooper. Almost 20 minutes gone, and Cork haven't scored since the 5th minute of this match. Comes down for Paul Kerrigan. In hot pursuit is Peter Crowley. Still Kerrigan. Giving the ball inside to Noel O'Leary, but he was tripped by Paul Galvin, and the referee was right behind him. So the referee giving the free to Noel O'Leary.
Well, I was berating a couple of moments ago Paul Kerrigan on the other side of the pitch for giving away an unnecessary free. That time Paul Galvin was tracking back Noel O'Leary and conceded a free rather unnecessarily and hands the initiative straight over to Cork.
Colm O'Neill for Ballyclaw in North Cork. Also coming back from cruciate injury, had a pretty impressive league campaign, scoring some spectacular goals. And this is sent to the right and wide. And really, to be honest with you, at this level, player of Colm O'Neill's ability, that should have been easy enough for him.
Yeah, I highlighted him beforehand. I highlighted the fact that he had been very impressive at most of his National League games, scored something of 4 goals and 13 points. But that game that miss will do nothing for his confidence.
Tomas O'Shea, Aidan Walsh, trying to put in the challenge. Kieran O'Leary, Ray Carey with him. Ball inside first, Kieran Donaghy. First touch, just a little bit disappointing for him. Has to go all the way back out for O'Leary. Tomas O'Shea, who started the move, Goes back again into the corner for Kieran Donaghy. Owen Cadigan with it. Paul Galvin looking around for options. Goes for his captain, and that should be an easy ball for Alan Quirk. Ray Carey. Donnacha O'Connor wants it quickly. Positions meaning very little in this game as Cork keep changing their full forward line. Nicholas Murphy is back at the edge of the square again. Ball down towards Colm O'Neill. Peter Crowley with it. First time really that Colm O'Neill has gotten away from Mark O'Shea, but that's part of the Cork plan to keep changing their forward line. Here's O'Neill with his first opportunity from play. It's his second point of the match, and Cork need to feed Colm O'Neill a lot more.
Yeah, it's a great movement at that time by Colm O'Neill across the field. Took the ball again, redeemed himself somewhat for the miss from a free a couple of moments ago, and that's certainly no harm from Cork's point of view. They needed that score.
Cork and Kerry level for the third time in this Munster Football Championship semi-final. Knocked down by O'Neill, picked up by Paul Kerrigan. Mark O'Shea having to step up a gear to try and put in a block, but Kerrigan is very fast and very accurate. It's his first point in the match. And it's part again, if I may say, about Conor Coonahan. He keeps changing his full forward line, and Mark O'Shea, who was doing a good job on Colm O'Neill previously, now has this man, Paul Kerrigan, to deal with.
Well, Kerrigan's the last guy you want to have to deal with on a hot, sultry day, in particular when he's running at you from around the half forward line. He's blistering pace, and Mark O'Shea certainly knew all about it that time.
Referee felt that Alan O'Connor was fouling. Not too sure that that was the right call, to be honest with you, but Alan protests. Decision stands. Free taken by Tomás O'Shea. There's Darren O'Sullivan. Galvin immediately available. Going through the centre was Anthony Marr, but he had to check. And Darren O'Sullivan fouled by Paddy Cassad. Paddy Cassad again protesting. For what reason, I'm not too sure. Let's look at it from this angle.
No, he pulled him. It's quite clear, not necessarily from that angle, but from the angle we're looking at, he clearly pulled him down. And once more, it's just ill-disciplined tackling. It's lazy tackling. He had the speed to stay up with him. Should have just kept between him and the goals, and he could have forced him into making a mistake. Just going back to a point a couple of moments ago in relation to Kieran Donaghy, he's been playing very far out the field, and the Kerry outfield players at times are looking for a target man in there, and there isn't that tall man in there that Donaghy will provide.
Colm Cooper has scored 3 times so far in this match. Going for his fourth, it's dropping in. Alan Quirk calls for it. Good understanding between goalkeeper and defenders. Down towards Patrick Kelly. Ray Carey. Back to Kelly. Owen Cadigan. Owen Brosnan coming in to challenge. Referee closed the whistle. He could have allowed it to continue on because the advantage was to Cork, but Donnacha O'Connor, Paul Kerrigan going through. Kieran Sheehan is available, but Kerrigan goes around him and then decides to have a go on his own, but that is right and wide for Cork's third wide of the match.
Yeah, Kerrigan has got on the ball a number of times in the last couple of moments. A little bit unlucky with that long-range effort. That time I think he was being marked by Killian Young. As you said, Marty, Cork are rotating their forward line quite a bit. The only constant is the fact that Nicholas Murphy's been left on the edge of the square where he's been marked by Aidan O'Mahony.
And it's interesting to note that Mark O'Shea is now back on Colm O'Neill again, which from a Kerry perspective seemed to be the right option. Here's his big brother Tomás. Aidan Walsh coming into challenge. Quick ball, Paris Paul Galvin. Kieran O'Leary, who's playing well at corner forward, working hard, trying to get the ball back. Paris Paul Galvin, picked up instead by Noel O'Leary. Kieran Sheehan, over for Graham Canty. Players backtracking in the modern game. You can have a corner forward playing a corner back. Ball up first, Paddy Cassad and Darren O'Sullivan. Referee's whistle is blown. Cassad this time was the guilty party, or at least Darren O'Sullivan was the guilty party. Paddy Cassad being brought to the ground.
Yeah, Darren O'Sullivan was running back that time. The pass was in the air as he blindly, I think, tried to intercept it, but in doing so he pulled Paddy Cassad down and offered the opportunity to Donnacha O'Connor, who's been quite good so far, both in general play and from frees.
Donncha O'Connor, All-Ireland junior medalist 7 years ago, back in 2005. Ballydesmond didn't really connect properly with this one, but it could still be trouble for Kerry. It's O'Neill, but there was a third man challenge and the referee spotted it. Nicholas Murphy claims his innocence, but David Coldrick saw it. Let's have a look at it again. There was the challenge.
Oh, definitely. Nicholas Murphy took his opponent, not sure who it is actually, I think it's the cornerback, Mark O'Shea, right out of the game that time. Definite free out.
And well spotted by the referee as well.
Yeah,
shoulder problems for Mark O'Shea, and his departure would be a huge loss. Let's just see this again. As
it's quite a whack. It must be said, and there's plenty of Nicholas Murphy in him when he hits. It's a big man. Well, it must be said, David Coldrick, I think, has refereed the game fairly sensibly up to now. He has kept the cards in his pocket, I think. And, you know, on a couple of occasions I thought early on he could have used them, but the players have responded. In general, it's, you know, a reasonable game so far, but maybe doesn't have the overall quality that I would have expected.
Coming up, of course, on the Sunday Game Live programme, we have Armagh versus Tyrone from the Athletic Grounds in Armagh City. Throw in there is at 4 o'clock. Seamus Scanlon under pressure here. Has to release the ball. Fails to do so. Free to Cork. Colm O'Neill will take responsibility for this one again.
Yeah, just watch this time. Seamus Scanlon put under a lot of pressure by Kieran Sheehan and by Alan O'Connor. Doesn't release the ball, and the referee indicates a free in.
Captain of the Cork under-21 team, who won the All-Ireland against Down in 2009, Colm O'Neill. This is more what we expect from him. A simple tap over point, and he avails of the opportunity.
Yeah, he avails of the opportunity, all right, but it must be said Kerry will be a little bit kind of edgy at the moment insofar as I don't think they have scored since the 19th minute. They've had a number of attacks, but nothing really threatening the Cork goals.
Kick out is aimed at Owen Brosnan, under pressure from Patrick Kelly. Free is quickly taken, far as Tomás O'Shea. Given the space to go forward, Peter Crowley makes the dash down this wing. Paddy Cassan comes into challenge. Quick layoff. Fires Darren O'Sullivan. Still O'Sullivan. Ball inside. Fires Colm Cooper. Here's Kieran Donaghy. Oh, a brilliant save by Alan Quirk. Outstanding goalkeeping by the number one. He's under pressure here, however. He gets the ball out somehow. And it comes fires Alan O'Connor. That had goal with a capital G written all over it, except for the wonderful exploits of the Cork keeper Alan Quirk. Comes down first, Paul Kerrigan. Now can Cork counter-attack? Challenged by Peter Crowley. Illegal. It's a free for the Rebel County. Sent in by Kieran Sheehan, but poorly. Easily intercepted by Peter Crowley. Seamus Scanlon overfires Aidan O'Mahony. Declan O'Sullivan available. Free given for the challenge by O'Connor. Darren O'Sullivan. Declan has gone through the centre. O'Sullivan goes for the long ball. Kieran Donaghy and Colm Cooper waiting. It's knocked down. Loose ball picked up by Graham Canty, and Cork come away with it again. Available in front of the stand is Donncha O'Connor, wearing number 14 on his back, and away he goes into the space. Kerrigan comes out to meet him, but O'Connor goes for the long ball instead. Better decision. Kelly doesn't control it. Sideline ball for Kerry.
Yeah, lovely pass that time up to Paddy Kelly, but he definitely pulled the ball out over the line, and referee give the right decision. But just watch this here. Darren O'Sullivan goes right through. Lovely pass over to Donaghy, but that's very brave goalkeeping by Alan Quirk. Just the pass from Cooper to Donaghy, but that's brave, great anticipation, and counter-attack from that, you know, okay, ended up with the ball going out over the line.
Owen Brosnan. In the centre is Kieran O'Leary, who continues to show well for every ball. Paul Galvin flicking it over. There's Colm Cooper. Michael Shields with him. Still Cooper. Oh, a lovely layoff. First to Moss O'Shea. And O'Shea drives it left and wide. The referee, however, is blown his whistle, and it looks like he's indicating a 45, that it was deflected off a Cork defender.
Yes, the first time we've seen O'Shea getting into an attacking position, but definitely in trying to execute the block, it went off a Cork defender. Referee called it right up beside the play. 45 is the correct decision.
31, almost 32 minutes played, but Cork haven't scored since the 5th minute, and Kerry haven't scored since the 19th minute. Brendan Keeley as Jack O'Shea watches on. Keeley sends it right and wide. 2 attempts, unfortunately for Brendan Keeley, 2 efforts going wide. And that, I'm sure, will be a situation that'll be, well, re-examined. But of course Kerry always have Brian Sheehan returning, but if he's not going to be available if Kerry get to the Munster final, I think it's an aspect of their game they'll have to re-examine. Paddy Cassan, Aidan O'Mahony getting there ahead of Nicholas Murphy. Mark O'Shea, Seamus Scanlon, Anthony Marr, Faris Paul Galvin. Quick pick up by Declan O'Sullivan. Anthony Marr has gone forward. Peter Crowley thought about going long, instead goes short past Kieran O'Leary. Has to go back. Faris left corner back, Killian Young. Ball sprayed over towards Colm Cooper, but it was just hit with too much power, and that's a sideline ball, an easy ball for Cork.
You have a Cork throughout the first half. They have managed to get the extra man back in front of the full back line. More often than not, it's Graham Canty, but if it's not him, it's Alan O'Connor covering off that area in front of Donaghy.
Aidan Walsh. Not a good ball for Michael Shields. Colm Cooper, challenged by Noel O'Leary, was dodgy as well, but Aidan Walsh made sure, and Colm Cooper goes down, and that's a free in for Kerry.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of these careless tackles being executed by both sides, and in that case, okay, Noel O'Leary's been spoken about the earlier one, but I think in the second case it was Aidan Walsh, was it, that executed one, and fouled Colm Cooper. But again, I think the referee is keeping the card in his pocket, is he?
Jack O'Connor and Ger O'Keefe still concerned. Dermot Murphy on the extreme right of your screen. And so far, it's a pretty close encounter, as we have anticipated and seen in the past. Owen Cadigan and Kieran Donaghy continue. But thankfully, no more fisticuffs or pushing and shoving to an extreme level. 2 minutes of additional time added on here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. Paddy Kelly goes back to bring Paddy Cassan into the game. Chased by Darren O'Sullivan. Donncha O'Connor goes for the long ball. Crossfield ball over towards Colm O'Neill. Nicholas Murphy. There's a little push by Aidan O'Mahony, and the referee gives the free to Cork.
One of those frees being conceded by the Kerry defence. Ball going well away from the goals, out towards the sideline. Push in the back, I think, on Nicholas Murphy by Aidan O'Mahony. Needless free to concede.
Into injury time here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. Colm O'Neill with this more or less same position that he missed earlier. Did, however, score the last free from this particular position, so should have a little bit more confidence. Hits it well, and the white flag going to be raised. And Cork have stretched their lead to 3 as we head towards the break.
Yeah, and they'll be by far the happier team going in at the break. Kerry's attack is not functioning with any great fluency. They're unable to get Donaghy and Cooper working in tandem, and the half forwards are coming far too far back at times to be of any help to their inside players.
Great catch by Seamus Scanlon. Do Kerry have time for one last attack before the break? Noel O'Leary and Paul Galvin. Declan O'Sullivan wanted it quickly. Opts instead for Kieran O'Leary. Loses out rather easily to Ray Carey. Graham Canty. Unnecessarily fouled by Anthony Marr, and David Coldrick didn't like the challenge either, and he may well issue a card here, laying down a marker. It was careless, to say the least, by the Kerry midfielder, and there is a yellow card.
Yeah, I don't think there was anything malicious whatsoever in the tackle. It was just a careless, badly executed tackle, and it was a high tackle. It merited a yellow card.
Owen Cadigan has the ball under his arm, and at the moment it's the home side that are leading with a 3-point advantage. A brilliant save by Alan Quirk, one of the highlights of the first half. The sides level 3 times in that opening period, and as they go in at the break, there's plenty for the two managers to talk and discuss, because the half-time in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, this is the scoreline: Cork 7 points, Kerry 4. Plenty to analyse, so stay with us, we'll be right back.
Half-time in the Munster football semi-final between Cork and Kerry, and it is Cork leading Kerry by 7 points to 4 at this stage. Joe Brodley, Colin O'Rourke with me here in studio. I think, Joe, Martin Carney summed it up during the first half there, and he said, you know, basically it's a nice game of football, but a little bit disappointed that it's not better.
I think that, you know, far from being a one-off, the Tipperary thing, because we saw the way Kerry were set up against Tipperary. You know, the half-forward line was gone into the defence, so they had no half-forwards, therefore the defenders have no one to kick it to, therefore you have no playmaking platform in the half-forward line. It's exactly the same again today. As a result of that, I mean, Kerry are showing no imagination. Every single time a Kerry player gets the ball, he puts his head down and starts to solo run. Every one of them. We'll see it in a moment. There's no snap, no imagination. They're unbelievably sluggish, even with their own frees. I mean, they win a free. They've got Kieran Donaghy in the edge of the square. It's completely redundant. They're winning a free. They're standing there all day over it. I mean, the ball should be gone. They're solo running, they're encouraging congestion, and even the 2 goal chances they created, there were so many Cork bodies back that it was almost impenetrable in there. And I just think that it's the philosophy that's been espoused by the management that's causing the problems here, because Kerry really are playing extremely poor football and very, very difficult to watch, I have to say.
Do you see the same way, Colin?
Yeah, I think it's basically that I can't understand why Kerry players out the field, and it's mainly the half-backs who are getting the ball, are intent on soloing. Now, I know that Alan O'Connor and Graham Canty are dropping back as an extra defender, but the only way to counteract that is to give good diagonal balls. And Kerry used to do that in the past with Donaghy on the edge of the square. Now they have him in there and the square to play with now. So you would think that they put the ball across from side to side and leave him in there. Instead of that, they're working the ball in very slowly. And Cork, by contrast, are quite willing to kick the ball from the middle of the field and let their forwards fight for it. Now, it hasn't worked all the time, but they're ahead.
They are ahead. They're ahead by 3 points, but we have to put into the equation, Joe, that Kerry missed 2 goal opportunities and they were decent enough.
Well, the area is heavily congested, because you'll see again what I'm saying here is that Kerry men have just got their heads down, soloing through. They do create a gap. Now, you would have think in the first one that Donaghy should have taken it on himself, although it does take Kieran a bit of time to get the ball down to his foot, and he was going to be covered pretty quickly. But here's the problem. Because they're having to run through the Cork defence by solo running, by choice, they're solo running and hand passing. They're just not getting one-on-one opportunities with a bit of space. It's always in a crowd.
Yeah, well, Darren O'Sullivan has speed to get away from Paddy Cassan, and again it gets a bit congested in there. Alan Quirk does very well to get down. In most of those circumstances, you're better off just to take a point, because there was 3 defenders coming across on Donaghy there, and the chance had sort of gone nearly by the time he got the ball in his hand. So Kerry are creating goal chances. Cork, in contrast, are quite willing to take points from long range and have kicked quite a few very nice points.
They have. We're going to have a look at 2 of those right now, actually, Colin, because in the pre-match analysis you were saying that they weren't moving that ball quickly enough and get these kind of points, but they've got a couple of them today.
Yeah, well, we can see here where Tomás O'Shea is pushing his man out to the side, and you would think that there's no chance of a point from there, and instead of
Sheehan's point, this is the first one of the ones we're going to look at
Kieran
here.
Sheehan, and Kieran Sheehan, wrong side. You would think Tomás O'Shea had done everything right, push him out and let him take a shot on. Nothing anybody can do about that's a bit of brilliance. I think Paddy Kelly's ball inside here, I think he wasn't going for that one, but Donnacha O'Connor and Killian Young has been caught too many times well off Donnacha O'Connor and given away easy points to him.
The reason that Cork aren't further ahead is because their half-backs and their two midfielders simply can't kick accurate ball. None of those five are playmakers. Conor Coonan has always chosen to have them. They're good, stout defenders and they work very hard and all of that, but they're not constructive playmakers. And the problem therefore is that although Cork's forwards really look as though they've got the beating of their men every single time, the ball's coming in very inaccurately and often far too late, because the first option in the Cork defence is the hand pass.
OK, who is going to advance to this year's Munster football final? The second half of Cork and Kerry coming up after the short break. Coming up later this afternoon here on the Sunday Game, it's the meeting of Armagh and Tyrone in their Ulster football quarter-final. That game is due to start at 4 o'clock. Now, also this afternoon, more action from the Euro Championships 2012. Spain versus Italy, followed by, it's the Republic of Ireland's opening game against Croatia. And then it's back to Gaelic Games on the Sunday Game Evening Edition with a comprehensive roundup of all of the weekend's big games. And do take note, by the way, that the programme starts at the later time tonight of 10:20. That's, of course, because of the soccer. Cork leading Kerry by 7 points to 4 at half-time, second half coming up. Joe, one of the things that you were remarking on about the first half was Kerry winning most of that ball around the middle of the field, but then it not particularly going anywhere.
One of the first things you have to do with Cork, because they're so brilliant at winning midfield possession, is to disrupt them. Kerry have done that brilliantly, but every single time they win a breaking ball, and I mean every single time, you'll see in this clip, the Kerry man who gets the ball, he's got his head down and he starts to soul around. Watch, he doesn't even look. Declan O'Sullivan does not even look. Now, if you can't look, you can't see. It seems to me to be a pretty logical sort of statement. On every occasion, instead of looking up to move the ball, they immediately go on a solar and look, here's Tomás O'Shea. He hasn't looked up yet. He's now, and then he hand passes it to a man who's in no better position than he is. And that's happening throughout the field. This results in the sort of congestion that means it's becoming increasingly difficult for Kerry to score and, increasingly difficult for us to enjoy Kerry, something that we used to do all the time.
I'm fascinated by this, Colin O'Rourke, because we're looking at players here in this clip that we saw. All-Ireland medal winners, all-stars. This is not a team struggling to find any bit of form or get an old break in the championship. These are some of the country's best footballers. Yeah, and people would say, well, surely Kerry were playing like that all the time because they've had these players together for the last 5 or 6 years. But actually, it's not true. They did move the ball faster at times in the past. They did use their inside men. Now, I know that it's not as simple as it may appear here to kick the ball in when Cork are employing an extra defender. But yet, Kerry have persisted with this short passing game and has now become their normal game. They can't break out of this mould. We had talked about the Tipperary game and said surely Kerry will move the ball a bit faster than they did against Tipperary, but every time a player outfield gets the ball, they seek to hand pass the ball to Declan O'Sullivan or Paul Galvin, who normally are moving away from goal when they get it, so they must turn around then and try to create something. It would be much better, to me anyway, if they were able to kick the diagonal balls, and I persist with this idea. If you remember that ball that was given across to Donaghy where he beat Fancy Bellew in the All-Ireland quarter-final.
It's happening all the time, those years.
And now it's not happening at all.
Darren O'Sullivan gets a ball, for example, and he's just like a running back in American football. He gets the ball and he tries to career through the whole defence. He will not pass it and he will not kick it until he has managed to run into somebody's knee. I kid you not. It's like watching a child out in the playground. You know, one of those selfish under-10s who you see and you're always saying, oh, for God's sake, son, would you kick the ball? Do you want salt and vinegar on it? And with him, for a player who has...
Well, it's not the worst because he has pace.
Who's so multi-decorated. No, but the point is this, regardless of how quick he can run, all he's doing is carrying the ball into congestion. And the problem with Kerry is that increasingly this is the only way that they can score, because this is the method that they're all now conforming to.
But yes, those kind of breaks that Kerry have shown occasionally in that first half. We saw 2 goal chances. They also had a penalty claim. Now, I don't think this was a penalty, but the point about it was they were breaking through that Cork defence once again, Colm.
Yeah, well, they are such talented players, I suppose, that no matter what way they play, they're going to create problems.
Especially
and
Cooper.
Here we have Cooper getting away from Michael Shields very easily and just falling at the last second. It was never a penalty, but normally in a case like that you'd expect Cooper would have put it across the goals actually to where Donaghy was waiting and would have finished easily.
In stark contrast to clips that Colm has picked out, for later on of another team that do move the ball quickly, you can see again there every time Cooper gets the ball there are 3, 4, 5 red shirts around him because they've moved it up to him so slowly.
Ready to go for the second half. It's back to Marty Morrissey and Martin Carney.
Thank you very much, Michael. Welcome back to Páirc Uí Chaoimh. Jack O'Connor, the Kerry manager, has made 2 changes. James O'Donoghue, corner forward, is now on in the full forward line. He's on actually for Kieran O'Leary, who obviously must have picked up an injury, and Johnny Buckley is on in midfield instead of Seamus Scanlon. So changes in the Kerry team, no changes on the Cork side, and Cork now still playing with slight wind advantage, just very slight wind advantage in the second half. Patrick Kelly goes for that long ball down towards Donogh O'Connor. Good anticipation by Killian Young. Johnny Buckley gets his first touch and goes for the return pass and gathers it. Coming in to challenge Alan O'Connor. Still Johnny Buckley. Thought about showing it and giving it to Anthony Marr. Instead, lays it off. Here's a chance for Kerry from out the field. The umpires are perfectly positioned, and that is over the bar. And guess who? It is the substitute, James O'Donoghue. He's hardly on the field, less than a minute, and he gets a point.
Well, fair play to young Buckley. He gets his opportunity, gets an early possession that gives him confidence, carries it forward, waits for O'Donoghue to make the looped run around him, and he just squeezes it inside the post. That's a good start for the 2 guys who've just come on at half-time.
So the double substitution has already worked, and that is Kerry's first score since the 19th minute of the game. Paul Galvin floating one in again towards Kieran Donaghy. On the overlap, it's Darren O'Sullivan. Donaghy had to have time to gather. Lays it off as Declan O'Sullivan. On the turn, he hits it on the meat, and he splits the posts for Declan O'Sullivan's 2nd point of the match. And that is a truly fantastic start by the Kingdom.
Well, I think the lads in the dressing room must have been listening to Joe and Colm at half-time, because there was a huge reluctance to execute early ball and early release in the first half. But Kerry, since they've thrown in at the second half, are letting it through that little bit quicker. Good overlap that time. Declan Sullivan scores the 2nd point.
Kick out by Alan Quirk. Good anticipation by Tomás O'Shea. And Kerry seem to have rediscovered that hunger already at the start of this second half. Fires Declan O'Sullivan. Floating one in again, and it's harmless. Alan Quirk telling Owen Cadigan to let it off. Declan O'Sullivan, you can play him centre forward, full forward anywhere, and he always seems to play well. And it gives a chance, Declan O'Sullivan informing the referee that Colm Cooper needs a change of sock or a change of boot.
Yeah, I think he might have gone over in his ankle actually that time. I noticed there was reluctance on his part to go forward and support the attack that time. But speaking of Declan O'Sullivan, Marty, do you remember the exhibition in last year's Munster final where Declan O'Sullivan scored 4 or 5 points from play? But his first half performance at centre forward that day was just a joy to behold.
Captain, of course, of the first team to win the Munster Colleges in Colostan and Skellige in Carasavine, where the teacher, of course, and his coach was Jack O'Connor. So there's a long link from Declan O'Sullivan's school days to his school teacher and now Kerry manager. And Jack O'Connor, of course, 2nd time Kerry manager. He's guided Kerry to 3 All-Ireland titles, 2004, 06 and 09, and way back in 1998, the All-Ireland Under-21 medal. In amongst the crowd, we have Frankie Sheehan on the left of your television screen and the man in the white jersey in the middle, Packy Bonner. Here's a question for you. Who played at midfield for Donegal with Packy Bonner?
You're not supposed to ask that question, Marty. That was for private consumption.
Well, the answer was Martin Carney. And here come Cork. Noel O'Leary laying it off. Kieran Sheehan. There was a chance of a high challenge, but the referee, I think, judged it correctly. O'Connor was being well fouled. And that is a free in, dead straight in front of the post for the Rebels.
Yeah, that time I think Killian Young got caught behind his behind Donegal O'Connor and inevitably had to concede the free. Once we've seen that again and again today, those unnecessary frees being conceded by Kerry defenders because they're getting caught in wrong positions, not attacking the ball early enough.
Colm Cooper still in the midst of running repairs. Well, down at the other end, Donegal O'Connor is busy focusing on tapping this over the bar. That's his third point of the game. And by the way, off camera, I can confirm that Colm Cooper has just been presented with a new set of football boots. Brand new for the birthday boy of a week ago. Anthony Mark O'Shea. Nobody unmarked at the moment, has to give it to Big Brother. The run over the far side is by O'Donoghue, just getting a touch. Ray Carey. Kieran Sheehan has gone forward. Hovering at the edge of the square is Nicholas Murphy with Aidan O'Mahony. They were waiting for the big long high ball. Didn't arrive. Donegal O'Connor may well know that Nicholas is available. Goes back outside again to retain possession. Coming through the middle, Graham Canty. Declan O'Sullivan tracking back. Canty floating this one in. Now let's see about Nicholas Murphy. Getting a fine catch at the end of it. He's bursting forward. He needs somebody coming through. Flicks it back. Pulled on by Graham Canty. It's not very pretty. It's picked off the ground. And it's a free for Cork, dead straight in front of the post.
Yeah, I think two of them had a buck root at that one that time. The ball came off Nicholas Murphy, or good tackling actually by Aidan O'Mahony to dispossess him. But just watching Canty coming in, having a go at it. Unfortunately, from a Kerry point of view, Mark O'Shea just comes in and picks it straight off the ground.
Simple enough tap over, at least it should be, for Donegal O'Connor. More or less from the same position of just a few minutes ago. It's his fourth point of the match. And Cork stretch their lead to 3.
Yeah, tactically, Kerry have gone back to the full forward line of Kieran Donaghy and Colm Cooper in a two-man full forward line, but they must start to get ball forward to them if they want to exploit the quality that's in there.
Johnny Buckley, Dr. Croke's man, midfield with UCC, so he's well used to playing football down here in the southern capital. James O'Donoghue has shown well since being introduced, slipping a ball through far as Kieran Donaghy, looking for the support outside. It's back to Colm Cooper, new boots. Same gooch though. It's another point for the Kerry captain, his fourth of the game.
Yeah, Kerry will want to be getting more of that. Donoghue, since he has come in, has linked very well with both Cooper and Kieran Donaghy. That time, unselfishly just tossed the ball back out to Colm Cooper, who found the post. But Jack O'Connor has gone back to a very much an orthodox full forward line.
Aidan Walsh, wonderful to watch, going up for that ball. Alan O'Connor sprays it over first, Kieran Sheehan. Paddy Kissan. Patrick Kelly to Paul Kerrigan. Cork inclined to hold on to the ball a little bit more in the second half. Colm O'Neill. Kieran Sheehan. O'Neill has gone inside, still Sheehan. Plenty of options over this side, they're queuing up. Paddy Kissan is one, having a go, and he hits it beautifully. Paddy Kissan coming from a right half back position, all-star 2 years ago, shows that he really is a fine footballer. It bent in beautifully, and really all that Brendan Keeley could do is admire.
Yeah, that was a lovely camera shot from behind the goals, which showed about 11 Kerry players behind the ball, waiting for the ball to be channeled forward. But Kazan intelligently bypassed a lot of them and over the bar.
Johnny Buckley again, getting on a lot of balls since being introduced. Under pressure from Paddy Kelly, has to kick it away, and it's Kelly again. Noel O'Leary, Graham Canty, Cork going forward, including Owen Cadigan. Only Kieran Donaghy, Ray Carey and Alan Quirke are now inside the Cork 45-metre line. Everybody is down here. And looking at from up here, looks like an under-12 or an under-14 game, where everybody is just following the ball. Aidan Walsh, Kieran Sheehan, flicking it quickly, fires Kerrigan. Diagonal ball is aimed at Donnacha O'Connor. Aidan O'Mahony decided to come for it, and O'Mahony wins the tussle. Good decision by the full-back. Colm Cooper, you can see what I mean. Look how deep he is, just inside his own half of the field. And to be honest, for a player of that ability, and indeed Paul Galvin, less so in terms of you're used to seeing him around the middle of the field, but to have Colm Cooper playing in his own half back line is ridiculous.
Yeah, and the only man up now who's getting the ball is Kieran Donaghy. There's no support near him.
Kieran Donaghy has to have a go himself, and it's an easy ball for Alan Quirke. But Kerry need to reorganise the game plan, because with everybody backtracking down into their own half of the field, only Donaghy is up front.
That's right, they're totally shapeless in that attack. Too many players getting back into defensive positions. Cork that time had managed to funnel back 8 players. There was 2 Kerry players in the Cork half of the field. Just at the moment, Kerry need to just reorganise themselves, get back to the orthodox full forward positions, and I think they'd benefit from it.
Peter Crowley gets it second time round. He's held back by Paddy Kazan. The referee acknowledged that the free hadn't been taken properly. Declan O'Sullivan and Noel O'Leary continue to chat. I'm sure it's not about the economic crisis in Ireland at the moment.
No, or bailout funds or anything like that.
Paul Galvin. Kieran Donaghy is at the edge of the square. Declan O'Sullivan is hovering in that area as well. Galvin thinking about having a right goal here. It's dropping in, but it's too much to the right and wide. Of the 3 options available to him, that was the worst one.
Well, it's the worst one, but it shows again the benefit of Brian Sheehan when he is playing, and the loss that he is, the incalculable loss that he is today to Kerry, because frees from that range are meat and drink to him. But just the other issue there's no point in him dropping the ball into the small rectangle there, because it's a free out, because it's from a set play.
Valley Rovers man Alan Quirke. Kieran Sheehan knocked away by Tomás O'Shea, picked up by Kieran Donaghy. Johnny Buckley pushing Alan O'Connor out of the way. Declan O'Sullivan to Darren O'Sullivan. Hit a fair charge by Aidan Walsh. Paul Galvin. Tomás O'Shea was to his right. Galvin decides to have a go from just outside the Cork 45-metre line, and that's a wonderful score.
It sure is a wonderful score, but the donkey work that time was done by Darren O'Sullivan, who got warped with a belt. A very, very hard challenge. Fair dues to him. He stood up to it, had the presence of mind to just let it off to Paul Galvin, who took the responsibility and fired a wonderful score from distance.
Interesting that Graham Canty comes all the way from centre-back out along the sideline here in front of us, waiting for the kick out, but Quirke goes in the opposite direction. Declan O'Sullivan coming through the middle. Johnny Buckley, he's making an impression. Available is Colm Cooper, onto the right boot, floats it in, but floats it wide. 7 wides for Kerry.
Yes, it's 7 wides for Kerry. Buckley again got onto that ball very well, but it's interesting, from the last 4 or 5 kickouts that we have had, Kerry have won every one of them. They've won 2 of their own, they've won the last 3 Cork kickouts, so maybe at the moment they're just starting to exert a bit of dominance around the middle of the park.
Just some statistical information for you. The referee has shown a yellow card to Michael Shields after a bit of a long consultation, but Cork fullback gets a yellow card. He's wondering why. He's looking back to the umpires saying, what was that about? Kick out by Alan Quirk. Breakdown. Paul Galvin almost had it, but was being held back. And the free quickly taken. Kieran Donaghy to Declan O'Sullivan. To his left is Colin Cooper. O'Sullivan goes for it, saved by Alan Quirk. James O'Donoghue is hovering. Donnacha O'Connor, the full forward, is back there acting as a corner back. But O'Donoghue puts it over the bar. And the Cork players protest to the referee that there was a free before that. He allowed play continue. The large support in Páirc Uí Chaoimh for Cork seemed to agree with the players, but the ultimate decision was to keep the play going, and here it was at the very end with this save by Alan Quirk coming back outside to O'Donoghue, and he laid it off. Here was the chance for Declan O'Sullivan. Quirk did well to get a boot to it. Out it came to O'Donoghue, who laid it off to Colin Cooper. Kick out by Alan Quirk. Push by Tomás O'Shea. Paul Kerrigan going forward. Can Cork respond? Oh, that is a magnificent point by Paul Kerrigan. They say class always comes to the top, and Kerrigan oozes class. Great response by the 3 in a row league champions.
Yes, that's one of the first times we've seen him really going at goals since earlier in the first half. Great finish, it must be said.
Donnacha O'Connor fouled. Free for Cork. Ball inside. Colm O'Neill. Killian Yards. Like evil stick glued to him, as Mark O'Shea did in the first half. Still O'Neill has to go back, and ultimately it ends up with Donnacha O'Connor. Floating one in. Nicholas Murphy is hovering, but the pass inside, or the kick inside, was poor, and that's left and wide. That's Cork's 4th wide of the game. And Cork are going to introduce Daniel Goulding, recovering like Kieran Sheehan from injury, and he in turn replaces Kieran Sheehan, his clubmate from Erogan Ovens. So Daniel Goulding, top scorer in the under-21 final against Laois in 2007, and of course All-Star 09, man of the match in the All-Ireland final 2010. So plenty of talent on view here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. Mark O'Shea trying to get by Donnacha O'Connor. Free to the Kerry corner back. Paul Galvin. Sideline ball.
Yes, frustration is manifest that time. That's the second or third time where his handling has been poor today. His work rate you can't fault. His score was supreme, but that time his handling, just a basic thing, let him down. The basic skill just got the better of him.
Modi Kassan prepares of a bit of Ishka. Keep him cool, because it is very warm here. Temperatures are about 19-20 degrees, and particularly in the cauldron here of Páirc Uí Chaoimh, it's extra hot. Full forward Donnacha O'Connor has been shown a yellow card off camera as Cork retain possession. Modi Kassan. Aidan Walsh is available to his right, so too Michael Shields. Goes forward as Patrick Kelly. Kerrigan gets by the initial challenge. Nicholas Murphy is hovering again, gets the touch the second time. What's he going to do? O'Keely, brilliant save. And Cork keep the pressure on. And that is off the boots of Daniel Goulding, just introduced. Wonderful ball in towards far Nicholas Murphy. Great save here by Brendan Keeley, who spread himself. The ball came back out far as Daniel Goulding. His first touch, his first point.
And it's the first real, shall we say, square ball situation that we saw today. And fair play to Nicholas Murphy, won it impressively. Great save though by Keeley.
Tomas O'Shea. Kerry now need to regroup and respond quickly. Paul Galvin, Johnny Buckley, Tomas O'Shea and Mark O'Shea available. Johnny Buckley again. Owen Brosnan to Anthony Marr. Floating one in far as Declan O'Sullivan, who's now residing in the full forward position. Kerry build very slowly. Still, every time James O'Donoghue has touched the ball in this match since being introduced at half-time, he's posing problems, and he had a very good league campaign. He's one of the new up-and-coming stars in Kerry, and he's doing well.
Well, the exuberance of youth and just the fearlessness that you hope that a young fella brings to a team is manifest with young O'Donoghue today. Every possession he's got in the second half, he has spelled danger and has carried the threat to the Cork defence.
Colm Cooper going for his 5th point of the game. And that has been achieved. And Kerry remain in contention. 2 points between the teams.
Yeah, they're very much in contention, it must be said. Like, both teams have had their periods of dominance, but Cork may be just a little bit more economical in front of goals. But it's anybody's game.
Noel O'Leary goes back for his Ray Carey. Paul Kerrigan. He's been all over Páirc Uí Chaoimh, Kerrigan. To Cork's dual star, Owen Cadigan. Looking forward, I'm sure, to playing against Tipperary in the Munster Championship very shortly as well with the hurlers. Colm O'Neill. Plan A. Seek out Nicholas Murphy. Donegal O'Connor at the end of it. And that's over the bar. And the long ball into Nicholas Murphy finally beginning to pay dividends. The breakdown here for Donegal. Looked around very quickly, was there anybody available? Daniel Goulding was, but he opted instead to take his point.
Well, it's very simple. They've done it twice in the last 4 or 5 minutes. Each time they've reaped the dividend. Murphy has clear height advantage on Aidan O'Mahony, even though I thought Aidan O'Mahony has had, in general, a very good game. And just once more, the support's coming from Donegal O'Connor, who's feeding off him. Lovely score for Cork.
Conor Coonahan must be pleased enough with this performance of the second half. Don't forget, of course, on the Sunday Game Live very shortly, about 45 minutes time, we'll have the throw-in in Armagh at the Athletic Grounds, Armagh against Tyrone in the Ulster Championship.
Yeah, it looks to me, actually, in a general sense, that there's less anxiety on the part of Cork when they attack. They seem to be a little bit more freewheeling than Kerry. Kerry just are a little unsure of themselves as to how they want to play the game. Do they carry it through or do they let it in long?
Punched down by Aidan Walsh. Tomas O'Shea guides matters, tells young Peter Crowley to come together. Mark O'Shea fires Paul Galvin. O'Shea continues his run. Patrick Kelly takes responsibility. Tries to deprive him of any clean space. Has to go back for James O'Donoghue. Paul Galvin. In the centre, Declan O'Sullivan. Hovering near goals, Kieran Donaghy and Colm Cooper. But a nice ball inside for James O'Donoghue. Past the 20, coming for a chance here, and that is over the bar. Good play by Owen Brosnan, coming from centre half back through the middle, and Kerry stay in touch.
Yeah, and young O'Donoghue once more, the creator of that score. Great timing though from Owen Brosnan. Came through that time. It's the first time we've seen him up on the opposing half of the field, but he has that facility to do it when the opportunity arises, and that brings it back to, is it a 2-point game?
In his 10th championship season, Owen Brosnan. Donegal O'Connor down at 13-metre line is obviously in a certain amount of distress, informing the Cork management, and I'm sure there could well be a change by Conor Coonahan and Gerald Sullivan and Jim Nolan and company. But O'Connor is running it off, and he now seems to be fine. Alan Quirk fires Graham Canty. Ray Carey to Alan Quirk. Michael Shields. Well won by Patrick Kelly, under pressure. Ball inside fires Aidan Walsh. Kieran Donaghy backtracking and fouling. The referee had no doubts.
It's a forward tackle, I'm afraid. Lazy, up around the neck. Anytime you go high and like that, you make the decision for the referee. An easy one to call for a ref.
Donnacha O'Connor, as you can see, about 35-40 metres out from goal, to re-establish a 3-point advantage from here, well within his range. Little or no wind, no rain, but miscued, and that's Cork's 5th wide of the game, which isn't a bad statistic in terms of shooting now, to be fair to them.
No, but that's one of the ones that you would expect.
Yeah.
Donnacha O'Connor get that well within his compass to score. Bad wide, I mean, another score, 3 points, putting it out to 3 points with about 11 minutes to go, Marty. It's a fair score to have to overcome.
Kick out by Brendan Keeley. Breaking ball favours Patrick Kelly. Paul Carrigan cutting through the middle, flicking it forward for Donnacha O'Connor. Past the 20, past the 13, over the bar. 6 points for the Ballydesmond and Duhallow man, establishing a lead that could well be enough for Cork to book a place in the Munster football final.
Well, that's the atonement moment from Donnacha O'Connor's point of view. Atones for the miss a moment ago, just very calmly off his left foot. Great score.
2 against 1 here. Advantage Cork. Noel O'Leary fouled by Declan O'Sullivan. Kerry need to re-establish themselves, particularly around midfield. They just seem to be a little distracted at the moment, and Cork gaining in dominance.
Well, they're distracted. They look very tired, actually. There's no real movement out there at the moment from a lot of the Kerry middle players.
Owen Cadigan to Paul Kerrigan. Wanted to give it back quickly, but Mark O'Shea had the situation covered. Johnny Buckley, acres of space in front of Johnny Buckley. Paul Galvin giving it on for Anthony Marr. Back for Galvin again. Have Kerry got something in the tank with about 8.5 minutes left? Long ball up for Kieran Donaghy. Knocked away by Graham Canty. Plenty of cover there. Michael Shields is one of them. Owen Cadigan. Alan O'Connor. Darren O'Sullivan coming in to challenge on Paddy Cassad. And the referee, I'm pretty sure, is going to show a yellow card here to Darren O'Sullivan, and frustration now bubbling up within the Kerry team. Yellow card for the number 12.
Yeah, he can't have any complaints about that. He didn't make any real attempt to tackle Paddy Cassad legitimately that time. And again, maintaining discipline at this critical moment of the game is so important. That's a foot trip, definite free in.
Nicholas Murphy, Aidan O'Mahony challenging, but Tomas O'Shea is there. Poor ball, easily picked up by Paul Carrigan. In fires Daniel Goulding onto the left boot. He's a wonderful kicker of a ball. Daniel Goulding, one of the Cork substitutes, comes on and displays his array of skills and wins surely this match undoubtedly for Cork with a fabulous point. And while the cheers around the crowd of 23,184 emanate around the ground, Kieran Donaghy is gone off and Kerry have brought in Patrick Curtin instead of Kieran Donaghy.
Well, that's a big surprise to me. Again, as fairness to Kieran Donaghy, the supply into him was very, very limited. He hadn't been in the game, but I thought there were players out around the middle, the 8 of the pitch, that should have been taken off before him because they've run out of legs.
Alan O'Connor backfires Paul Kerrigan, having a goal from the middle of the field, but it's gone left and wide. So would you not have taken Kieran Donaghy off?
No, I wouldn't have. He's at the end of the food chain. There's a bit of trouble.
Kieran will be disappointed when there's a bit of schmozzle going on the field here, and Referee is in quickly to calm matters down with Donnacha O'Connor and company. And just a bit of frustration and anger creeping into the game here. Jack O'Connor is off his seat talking to Diarmuid Murphy. Is there any other changes that they can make? But anyway, going back to your point, would you have taken
No, I
Kieran
wouldn't
off?
have taken off. I think there's other lads wilting around the middle of the park who they'd taken off before. But I think it's a general malaise in the Kerry team at the moment, and it comes when players have been in 8 or 9 All-Ireland finals, Marty. The tiredness is evident in front of us today. The willingness to go and graft that little bit harder is absent.
Sideline ball for the Kingdom. Was all the way back first, Killian Young. Tomas O'Shea. Can Kerry produce something in the last 5 minutes or so? 4.5 minutes. Paul Galvin. Tomas O'Shea once again providing leadership from the right half back position. Kerry go forward. Options available. O'Donoghue at the end of it. Over this side it's O'Sullivan. He's going for the goal and he blasts it over the bar. Off the boot of Darren O'Sullivan for his first point of this Munster semi-final.
Yeah, good feed, I think, once again from O'Donoghue, but initiated with, I think it was Tomas O'Shea making a sally upfield. And notice now Paul Galvin has been taken to the line.
Barry John Keane is on for Kerry. Paul Galvin is off. And there's more argy-bargy and handbags and lots of mouthing and verbal stuff going on. Discipline has to be maintained. Declan O'Sullivan is acting as peacemaker. Mark O'Shea and O'Connor are still at it, and they could be in deeper trouble unless they cop onto themselves. Dave Coldrick is coming down now to calm matters down, and he's being informed by his linesman exactly what was going on. Remember, Donnacha O'Connor's already on a yellow card. And Paul Galvin, Kieran Donaghy. Now there's a picture. 2 of Kerry's finest over the last 10 years, both being substituted in this second half. Kerry trailing by 3 points.
Well, that's symptomatic of the problem that Kerry have at the moment, that a lot of their better players, a lot of the iconic figures that they look to bring them out of trouble in the past, are no longer either willing or able to do it to the extent that they once were.
Owen Cadigan has also been shown a yellow card. Aidan Walsh goes back out around midfield to Mark Anthony Marr as Alan Quirk takes the kick out. Declan O'Sullivan underneath it. As Kerry try to create some bit of magic. Barry John Keane, Kieran O'Rahilly's man from Tralee, on the turn, hits it, but sends it wide. And again, there's a lot of shoving and pushing and a lot of verbals going on. And it's unnecessary, and the referee needs to assert his control here, and he's trying to do so. But it's all unnecessary because the game has been played in a sporting way, but it's just in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, a lot of this triumphalism now, I think, is beginning to rear its head, and there's a negativity out there and a lot of bitchiness, actually, put it to you that way. Fellas just getting under each other's skin. As you said, Marty, there's nothing really ultra aggressive. It's just mouthing, and nasty kind of mouthing that's going on between them.
Kick out by Alan Quirk. Anthony Marr knocks it down to O'Leary. Flicks it quickly first, Paul Kerrigan. Kelly, Owen Brosnan comes in with the challenge, but it wasn't shoulder to shoulder. But there was intent. And the free is to Cork. Conor Coonahan giving instructions from the sideline. Colm O'Neill was coming out to take it, but has decided no, he's not going to take it. There's the challenge by Owen Brosnan on Paddy Kelly.
Well, in fairness to Brosnan, he tried to execute a legitimate challenge that time. Kelly just turned his body away from him at the last moment, and maybe it was a soft enough free. But this time, Goulding is coming out into the outer zone, so to speak, to try and score. Remember the All-Ireland 2 years ago?
Absolutely. 10 points. Here's Goulding. Didn't connect at all. Nicholas Murphy unable to keep it in. A minute and a half left in the match. Whatever will be added on. 3 points between the teams. It's time for Kerry to go back up the field, and points probably too late at this stage. It has to be a goal. Brendan Keeley to start the proceedings. Just been told there's going to be 3 added minutes So we've about 4.5 minutes more action here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. Possession vital. Johnny Buckley battling with Paddy Kelly. Paul Kerrigan in the middle. Kelly down the wing. Still Kerrigan gone through, but Kelly didn't spot him. Back for his Donegal O'Connor, and that is sailing left and wide. 8 wides for Cork in this match. 3 points the difference. Will it be a Cork-Clare Munster football final at the Gaelic Grounds in Limerick on the 8th of July?
Yeah, the ironic thing about it, the extraordinary thing about it, is that there are only 3 points in it. Like a goal from Kerry's part would bring it to a replay, but they're just not getting the ball up front sufficiently, you know, with any degree of regularity to actually threaten the goals.
Nicholas Murphy has done his part. He's getting a warm round of applause for his exploits on the field. And coming on, Barry O'Driscoll from Nemo Rangers. Mark O'Shea, to his credit, it was a hefty challenge. He was fouled, didn't complain, just got on with it. Tomás O'Shea. Declan O'Sullivan. Long ball gathered by Owen Carrigan superbly. Flicks it away for Noel O'Leary and Donegal O'Connor again. Barry O'Driscoll gets his first touch of this Munster Championship. Gone forward is Graham Canty. Back again for Donegal O'Connor. Calling in the middle, Aidan Walsh. Gathers. They wanted long, but there's no Nicholas Murphy now, remember. Ball is flicked inside to Colm O'Neill. He's deadly! And he blasts it over the bar. First real goal-scoring opportunity for Colm O'Neill. It was a sweet ball inside. Went for the top corner, but he drove it over the crossbar by centimetres.
Oh, that's beautiful lateral movement that time from Colm O'Neill, going for the goal, but that point, I think we'd call it the insurance point, is really what Cork needed in those circumstances.
Ball comes down as Anthony Marr. Owen Brosnan available too to take the free quickly. Pumps it into the space, but there's nobody over there, I'm afraid, except Owen Carrigan. Michael Shields. In the centre, Graham Canty. Noel O'Leary. The National League champions, 3 in a row, look now to be in control and headed to the Gaelic grounds to take on the Banner County in the Munster final. Donegal O'Connor fouled by Peter Crowley. And do you think that Kerry will relish the challenge of heading to the qualifiers, Martin Carney? Considering what we saw here.
No, I don't think so. They look to me a tired team. They look to me very, very disjointed today. The spirit that you associate with Kerry teams in championship matches, in particular against Cork, is sadly lacking today. And it's just one of those days where I think the music died for an awful lot of the Kerry players.
And we must also say, Martin, that Brian Sheehan is a huge loss.
A huge loss, and you've got to salute a lot of those players and what they've given to Gaelic football over the last 10 or 11 years.
Colm O'Neill squeezes it inside the right-hand post for yet another point, and Cork are home and host. It took the full 72 minutes to ensure it, but they're there. Pádraig Hassan is going off, and the player that's coming on now is Owen Cotter from Douglas. Normally plays cornerback.
Well, in fairness to Cork, they've been the most consistent team in Ireland over the last couple of years on the basis of National League performance and the basis of even their championship performances, and they're franking that today with an all-round superior performance to Kerry's.
Long ball inside towards Daniel Goulding. Mark O'Shea with him. Goulding, difficult angle. Too difficult on this occasion. Overall perspective, Martin Carney, on Cork, are they serious All-Ireland contenders?
Very much so. They are serious All-Ireland contenders. The great thing about them, they've got talent and depth, they've got strength and depth. They can bring players in like at the beginning. You know, a lesser team today would have been inconvenienced with the absence of Fintan Gould and Pearse O'Neill. But the two guys who came in, Kieran Sheehan and Nicholas Murphy, played very effectively. But then when you can draw in the likes of Daniel Goulding, I mean, that speaks volumes for the depth that they have.
Well, Mark Collins came on in the last second for Paul Kerrigan, but that will only go down for the newspapers tomorrow, because at the end of the day the headlines will be that Conor Coonahan and his Cork team are through to the Munster football final. Kerry captain Colm Cooper congratulates his opponents because on this occasion, particularly in the second half, Cork, the league champions, looked to be the dominant force. There were a few verbals exchanged, but overall it was played in a fine sporting fashion, with Cork having a lot more in the tank. Big questions in the future now about Kerry as they head through the scenic route for the World Tour of qualifiers, while Cork will fancy their chances against the Clare team that defeated Limerick last night by just 1 point in the other semi-final. Before a crowd of 23,184, Cork are in the Munster final on a full-time scoreline here in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. Cork 17 points, Kerry 12.
Marty Morrissey and Kevin McStay in the commentary box. Colin O'Rourke and Joe Brawley, of course, with me here in studio. We'll talk about Kerry in a moment, lads, but first of all, let's talk on the positive sides of this. Cork have won this game. They were pulling away, Colin, towards the end of it, getting stronger. And as the lads said, they're serious contenders now.
Absolutely. Well, of course, they are one of the top 2 or 3 teams. They win the league every year, and they've added only 1 All-Ireland. So for a lot of great players on this Cork team, it's quite a poor return, considering they've been one of the dominant teams for the last 5 years. But they are a team that's going to be hard to beat. They still are very slow and lateral with their passing, but they have an awful lot of very good quality players. And I think what we saw is that they put Kerry to the sword a team in terminal decline. The aristocrats and some of the most brilliant footballers we've seen for the last 10 years. But today, I think age and miles caught up with them.
There's another game, sorry Joe, I'll come back to you in a moment. There's another game I want to reference, Colin, your own county involved, Meath against Carlow.
Yes.
It ended up a draw.
Oh my goodness.
Great result for Banty.
I hope he has the helicopter
Give
ready.
it up for Banty.
I presume they'll try and remove him this week again.
No, he's very
It was tight all the way through.
Tight all the way through, and I thought Meath actually would win that one with a bit in hand, because it looked after the Wicklow game that there was a sort of a bit of impetus gathering, and that the team were getting a bit of confidence. But obviously Carlow are better than their form in Division 4 would suggest. I think they only won 3 games. So
you're clutching at straws a bit here, Colin, I've got to say.
Yes.
Seamus McAnally came out with a classic the other night. It was with a chat show, you know, and Seamus is great fun. He's great passion, you know.
Yeah.
And he says the other night, I says to him, like, what possible enjoyment could you be getting down there in Meath? He says, well, the only enjoyment I got through over the last year was telling the chairman to clear off when he asked for my resignation. so passion and obstinacy are good qualities. He has them.
He
in
might have the
abundance.
opportunity for another bit of enjoyment the next couple of days.
Yeah.
Back to this game that we've been watching. Cork won the All-Ireland 2 years ago. They took, I suppose, something of a little bit of a time out, not necessarily deliberately last year, but seem to be bouncing back again.
Well, you know, they've got really, I think, they've got the best group of forwards. If you count the 2 subs that came on today, Goulding and Sheehan, I mean, they've got the best group of forwards in the game at the moment. They're very good at ball winning around the middle of the field, but the problem remains that they do not have a playmaking division in their half-back line and midfield. You look at Dublin, for example, who've got a very good balance between defence and attack, and who fire the ball in very, very quickly to their dangerous forwards around. Continually, they're on the ball. For Cork, that's a big problem going forward against better teams than Kerry. I mean, as for Kerry, I mean, talk about turning gold to dross. I mean, Jack O'Connor over the last few years has just turned them into basically Fermanagh. You know, they're playing a rotten brand of football, and no wonder the players are playing the way they are. How could you take pleasure in that? I mean, Starr was taken off because he was redundant. The ball wasn't kicked to him, so you take him off. You could easily have taken Colm Cooper off. He didn't get a single touch from play in the second half because they're laboriously moving the ball forward. Paul Galvin spoofing about out around beside his own number 6. Out the field, one of the most dangerous forwards in the country. Declan O'Sullivan's playing deep in his defence. I mean, what the last 2 years has shown us is an absolutely striking lack of imagination on the part of management, it seems to me, and completely wasting the natural gifts that he has at his disposal. Look at the players the Kingdom have, and look at the way they're reduced to playing. I mean, and I disagree that it was with a lack of effort today. They completely dismantled Cork in the middle of the field, and one of the most difficult things to do, where the acid test for a team that's applying themselves is on the breaking ball around the middle of the field. And I mean, they totally dismantled Cork. The big problem was the hand passing, the laborious movement of the ball laterally, and the fact that their full forward line may as well not have been there.
You may or may not agree with what Joe says about it. He mentioned Cork's set of forwards. They are an excellent set of forwards. And then you look at the Kerry forward line. I mean, this is stating the obvious here. Gooch Cooper, Kieran Donaghy, Paul Galvin, Declan Darren O'Sullivan's.
brilliant players.
Yeah, but there wasn't much difference in the way that both sides played the ball. Yeah. Patrick Kelly, who is a very good player for Cork, continually got the ball, turned away from goal and hand passed the ball to somebody else. A player who can run, who can score, and he seemed to be just wanting to hand pass the ball off. And Kerry, despite the fact that to me they seemed to run out of legs at the end, still created by far the best goal chances, and if they had to get one of those. But Cork are a better team than Kerry now, and if Kerry are going to go this route to the All-Ireland through the back door, which I don't think they will, because they will need to reinvent themselves. And reinvent themselves by introducing some new players to the team, but also a complete change in the way that they're going about playing the game.
Why are Kerry playing like Fermanagh? I mean, that must be one of the big questions of the year. I mean, I heard Mikey Sheehy talking about it the week before last. I mean, they must be furious in the kingdom about the way the team is playing. Because it is right to say that they've had a huge amount of success. But it's also, I think, difficult enough to make the argument that they're weary. Because, you know, they only have to play a few games. And I mean, Colin Cooper doesn't look in the slightest bit weary to me. The problem is they're not getting the ball and scoring in the scoring zone with an opportunity to score. I mean, at least Cork, for all their shortcomings in getting the ball forward, are trying to fire the ball in a bit to their forwards, and therefore they just got a few more chances.
No matter what tactics you employ, and whether you agree with Jack O'Connor's tactics or not, sometimes a manager can't do anything about sheer carelessness out on the field. And we saw examples of this today from Kerry.
Well, I just think Kerry look like a team that are discontented now. And I also think that this brand of football is monotonous and dull, and it's bound to be getting to the players. What's the fun in it? I mean, there's Kerry laboriously coming out of their defence yet again, and an almost carbon copy of why they lost the All-Ireland final last year. Because there's no one to kick it to, because they're no longer set up to kick, because they've got no half-forward line. The backs are wearily running and hand-passing, taking the return, running and hand-passing, taking the return. The chances of a mistake occurring increase and increase and increase. You saw it against Mayo in the league final, or Mayo in the league semi-final, when they gave away the ball for the crucial goal. The All-Ireland final last year, and that point today just summed up Kerry's performance. I mean, the great Tomás O'Shea, the prince of wing half-backs, stuck in the middle of all this congestion, giving a hand pass to someone 5 metres away from himself, who then, you know, misses the ball, and it's a point for Cork. Yes. I mean, it's a depressing finale for a great Kerry team, I've got to say.
At least Cork did take our hint at half-time about driving the ball in. Drove it in a couple of times, not very often, but a couple of times, with great dividend. Yes,
well, no point in having Nicholas Murphy in there without using him. And in this case, he had a great chance of a goal, well blocked. But again, he gets it out quickly and onto Goulding. Kerry backs again, very slow in getting out on their men. Killian Young today, very poor. Peter Crowley, very poor. If you took Mark O'Shea out of that Kerry back line today, it would have been a much bigger score. But once you have a big man, put him in there, it's going to cause problems. And we see another long ball, which is landed in on top from here, which he knocks down to Donnoch O'Connor.
Listen to the crowd, Colin. The excitement when the ball goes in.
And that could easily have been a goal. Whereas every time Kerry got the ball into that scoring area, the whole backline was congested. And I go back to say, most people would say, well, Kerry used to win All-Irelands playing like this. They actually didn't win them like that. You look at Tomás O'Shea, and every year they were winning All-Ireland. He was bombing through the middle and kicking 2 or 3 points in every game. I don't think he had a shot on goal today because he was caught in this hand-passing game that they seem to have reduced themselves to.
All right, lads, we are headed for a break here on the Sunday Game Live. Now, when we come back, we'll be turning our attention shortly to the second big game of the day here on the programme. It's Armagh and Tyrone in the Ulster Football Championship. That's coming up right after these.
Teams are hard. Great vision to pick out Tommy McGuigan. Great goal. Oh, that's a terrible kick away by Hirty to Paul Duffy. And Joe McMahon plants it in the back.
Now, coming up later on this evening on RTE2, more action from the Euro Championships 2012, Spain versus Italy. And that, of course, is followed by the Republic of Ireland's opening game in the tournament, and that against Croatia. We keep our fingers crossed. Then it's back to Gaelic Games again on the Sunday Game Evening Edition with a comprehensive roundup of all of the weekend's big games. And because of the soccer, just take note there that the Sunday Game tonight starts slightly later. It's on at 10:20. Right now, though, we're going to refer back to the game we have just seen. Cork have beaten Kerry down in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. Let's hear from the Cork manager, Conor Coonahan.
Well, Conor, how good a performance was that from Cork?
Look, I suppose, you know, it was a reasonable performance. I suppose we achieved our objective of getting through to the Munster final, and look, that's pleasing enough. You know, so we won't be getting carried away with it because there's plenty of room for improvement, but we're happy enough to be in a Munster final.
So where were you not reasonably pleased with as much?
I think maybe the first half, you know, maybe defensively we lived a bit dangerously and that sort of thing. You know, lacked a bit of confidence at times, maybe in terms of running at these guys a bit more and that sort of thing. But look, an awful lot of positives there too, an awful lot of good hard work, and you know, guys, you know, a bit disruptive before it. We lost 2 players, you know, yesterday. So, you know, that was very good to see the guys coming in, responding, and other guys coming off the bench as well to contribute.
Was that something you spoke about at half time, though, to make those changes in the second half? Because you didn't seem to have those problems so much in the second period.
Yeah, but I suppose it was a tight game up to the finish. I think there was 3 points in it for a long time. You know, that's one kick of a ball that can, you know, Kerry being Kerry, that could turn at any stage. So, you know, I think, as I said, we were just happy to get the win out of it and job done and move on.
It's funny, you know, you said before the game to me that it was very important that you win today and that you go all the way in Munster. And looking at the lads on the sideline when any of those points were going over at the end, you could see how much it meant.
Yeah, look, I think, you know, it's congested in terms of the fixture if we go the other way, and then there's a lot of implications where we have a lot of dual players and that sort of thing, so there's implications that way. But look, I mean, the reality is now, you know, we're in a Munster final. You know, we'd love to win that Munster final, nothing more, nothing less. You know, it's a long time since we won a Munster championship, and that's our focus now, and so there's nothing further to look for, only that.
You might be looking a little further ahead. If this did happen again, I presume you would be expecting a completely different type of game, would you?
Well, look, I mean, we'd be in a happy position if it does happen that we meet further, because we're obviously all going in the right direction. So, look, we'd be happy enough with that too.
I'm sure they will. Conor Coonahan talking there to Joanne Cantwell. Now back on the Sunday Game Live, we turn our attention to the Ulster Football Championship and the meeting of Armagh and Tyrone at the Gaelic Grounds in Armagh. That game is due to start at 4 o'clock. At stake, of